Can we finish above Arsenal this season?
Absolutely.
A lot of Arsenal fans will call us deluded for even bringing it up as a topic. The audacity of Spurs fans to even think that we can finish above a club that we finished above 6 times over the last 7 years. But Henry, can we do it?
Look, if you would have said at the beginning of the season, I would have said no. Arsenal have signed Timber. They signed Timber, Rice. Timber's obviously got injured. Rice, I'm not counting Havertz because they basically play with 10 men every week, right? Rice and Timber. Timber's injured. I think they haven't strengthened in depth. They're in 4 competitions, playing every 4 or 5 days or every 3 or 4 days, whatever it may be. They're getting injuries left, right, and centre now. It's the 3rd game in a row. Saka's been down, holding his knee or his ankle. With us, we just need to quietly go about our business and take one game at a time. Arsenal, the minute they get knocked out of the League Cup or the FA Cup, it's going to be bigger fish to fry. If you look at both teams right now, I think they've got very good 11s. But the bench, you look at Liverpool brought on Gravenberch, Jota, Konate, XYZ. We're bringing on, a Højbjerg that can't really play this system. We don't have Perisic. We're bringing on Veliz, who's 19. But at this moment in time, I don't think Arsenal have been particularly great in any of their games, but they're getting results. I don't think their performances, they've blown teams away. Whereas I feel like us absolutely destroyed Burnley. We were the better team against Brentford. Apart from the first 30 minutes against Man United, we were the better team. Showed character and won late against Sheffield United and Liverpool. I don't think Arsenal are that good. I watched them last night against Lens, But did you see their goal, by the way, was absolutely disgusting. Their first goal. That's a team 15th in Ligue 1. You blew PSV away, but you're playing every 4 days. I don't think they've got the squad. And I think right now, with us, as of the 4th of October, I say we do finish above them, providing we add 2 players in January.
We do, not that we can. You say we will.
We will bring 2 players in January. Whether they're going to be the right quality or not, I don't know. Levy normally goes and we'll add a couple of players in January, or 1 or 2. If we can bring in another, if we have another Benson Core, Kulusevski January, I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm normally the negative one, but Arsenal are not that good. Really, they're not. Last year, they had a fantastic year, but they were 1 game a week from November or October. They're in 4 competitions. You're not Man City. You haven't got depth oozing out of your veins. They're shoehorning Kai Havertz for a penalty to score so the PR can go, oh, Kai Havertz scores again. It's his first goal of the season, mate. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've brought out more kits. They've already brought out 3. What have they brought out? 5 kits already this year? A universal kit. I thought every kit.
I love it. They got the gold trim like they're champions.
Yeah, they did a genderless kit. They did a genderless kit. It's is not all kits genderless?
This is what I'm saying. I think right now, I think Arsenal are crying out desperately for a number 9. Desperately. And I think they will go in for potentially Ivan Toney or someone else. But I don't know. I look at the way we play. We played against them. We played our game for the first time. We haven't gone to Arsenal and had a pragmatic approach of let's ease into the game and go on a counter-attack. We come away with more possession and had the better chances. And for the first time in, I can't remember how long, we've beaten Man United and Liverpool and got points of Arsenal in a season. I think Postecoglou is trying to change the mentality. And if we bring in a forward and a defender, I think we finish above Arsenal right now because I think they'll go deeper into the Champions League. I think they'll get quarters. I think they'll go deep into the FA Cup. And we've got 1 game a week until January the 15th or whenever it is. We've got 6 games until December, whereas Arsenal have got 11. The injuries will start piling up. They've had Trossard out for a few games. Saka, Saliba's had a couple of wobbles. They can't choose which goalkeeper they want to play. 1 minute it's Raya, the next minute it's Ramsdale. I don't think everything's as hunky-dory as everyone is telling me it is at Arsenal. I don't know if I'm just being biased or whatever, but I don't think they're that good. I think they're getting points and they're winning games, but the performances haven't been that great.
Yeah, but with what you're saying about them, injuries mounting up for them, it's much more serious if injuries mount up for us because we've literally got no cover whatsoever in a lot of positions. We've got more goalkeepers in our squad than we've got centre-backs and strikers. It's a joke. Like,
I know when you think about that, it is hilarious.
We can talk about Arsenal all we want, but we've also got a much worse problem in terms of squad depth.
But we're not in 4 competitions.
I know we've got a lot less games, but players are already getting injured like a lot. Our left side has completely been decimated already, and we've only got one game.
I get that, but like, someone said Henry Wright is such a drag. Like that's fine. Your last name's Vieira, mate. So you can keep saying that. But I look at, we've got 6 games until December. December's the real test when we've got 7 games, the likes of Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, West Ham, Bournemouth. That is when I expect us to pick up, not have these performances like we've had. If we hypothetically can get through the next 8 or 9 games unscathed, or 10 games, however long it is until January, and buy players, Arsenal have got Champions League and League Cup and Premier League. They've got a game, I think it's I looked at it the other day, I think it's every 4 days. We don't play, we've got Luton, and then we don't play for 9 days. Like, just doctor and nurse the injuries. Like, if one door closes where a player gets injured, another one opens. Like you guys are saying, if Sessegnon comes back, if he can get a tune out of Sessegnon, then he is absolutely mustard, Postecoglou. Because Sessegnon is made of glass. You know, I've seen more meat on a chip. Like, I don't know what you guys think, but I think right now, as of right now, we finish above them.
Wow. Sean, what do you think? Can we finish above Arsenal? Or will we finish above Arsenal?
Don't start going on this negative train. I've just bigged this up, Sean, by the way.
Hey, I was on this train before the season started. I don't know if you remember, Henry. I was on your channel having bets with you and people in your comments.
That was about scoring goals, not feelings. That was about scoring goals.
Yeah, Tottenham are going to outscore Arsenal this year. And thus far, I'm bang on the money. And I think that Tottenham can do things.
How much was that bet, by the way? How much was that bet?
40 quid? No, 20 quid. 20 quid.
Oh,
I had 100 quid with someone else. 20 quid, yeah. I had 100 quid with some guy called Always Gunner or something in the comments, and he's disappeared. I've been trying to find him, and I haven't seen him since. But anyway, I think that look, we can. Of course we can. It all comes down to injuries and how lucky we get. And at the moment, like, you know, we've got away with it in key positions, but, you know, we are starting to see them pile up. Can I ask you a quick question before I finish my point? If Tottenham hadn't registered a 25th player, if we'd left Hugo Lloris out of the squad and we had 24 players, if Jota was released right now, if his contract was torn up, could you have signed him and add him to the 25th player?
No, he has to be a free agent. He would have to be a free agent when the transfer window was open. If you can't
get him in January though,
otherwise people will just release players now and they can make transfers. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Only if they're a free agent. So we can sign Andros Townsend if you're open to it, but we can't sign.
Let's not do that. Let's not do an Arsenal thing. Get Ian reading out kits.
Why can we sign Andros Townsend? Because in the transfer window he was a free agent.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, gotcha.
You have to have been a free agent when the window was open.
You're in the window. Got it. Okay, so there's the loophole. All right, so I'm not open to Andros Townsend.
You can sign Jesse Lingard as well if you want. You want Jesse Lingard?
He's been training with the Spurs team, hasn't he? Or he's been training not with the team, but he's training at Hotspur way. And he's got a left foot, I guess.
Are you talking about Jesse Lingard or are we talking about Townsend?
He was in the.
Jesse Lingard.
He's talking about Townsend. He's talking about.
I take Lingard 100%.
Lingard.
Eden Hazard we can take as well.
No, Henry, if you're part of the marketing team and you want our TikTok to pop off, maybe we can take Lingard. But other than that, I don't think any other reason to take him.
Like, genuinely, if you can get that Lingard that had 5 or 6 months at West Ham and give him a new lease of life, you've got a good squad player. I'd rather Lingard than Ryan Sessegnon, and if anyone is telling me they'd rather Sessegnon than Lingard, you are absolutely tapped. Because Ryan Sessegnon is made of glass and he's absolutely awful. At least Lingard has some ability. He's just lazy.
Either way, I think we'll be okay.
Eden Hazard and Bellarabi as well is also on a free.
Eden Hazard.
There's no
chance. Is Ange cooking here with Eden?
32.
32. He's not that old.
He's never coming to us. Let's just be. He's a Chelsea legend.
Hazard and Townsend on the wings. We can do it. Imagine
this isn't 2014. Like,
don't let Eden Hazard anywhere near Tammy.
Let me put it this way: would you rather
get all the leftover cheeseburgers and scoff them all down?
Would you rather sign Hazard on a free or give Sessegnon a second chance?
Sign Hazard on a free every day of the week.
Well, there you go.
I'd rather you on the left team than him. Like, he's absolutely awful. Like, genuinely, he'd be one of the first players would be out the door for me in January. One of the first. Like, I don't see what he does. Everyone tells me, oh, but he's a young player, this and that. He's made of glass. He can't take a player on. He loses the ball constantly.
But when he was 16, he scored 16 goals in the Championship when he was 16.
That's fine. In the Championship, though, you're playing against Burton Hove Albion every week. Do it against Arsenal or Chelsea. Then maybe we can talk. But like,
scored at the Allianz Arena, mate. Scored at the Allianz Arena.
Come on, man. You two are more shameless than I am. Like we are not having Ryan Sessegnon in this team.
What about Iago Falque? He's available.
He was all right when he was at Roma.
Where is it? Is he the Spanish guy? Where's he now?
Former Spurs.
It's free transfer.
Just promote Donnelly and just watch him blossom into this.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask. That's what I was going to ask you.
Magnificent creature.
Is Jamie Donnelly? What's he scored? 14 goal contributions in 7 games or something. 13 or 12 in 7. Right. And
have you seen the way he takes a penalty? By the way, it reminds me of someone else.
He can play everywhere as well. He's been asked to play 10, 9, 7, 11. He's
training with the first team.
Is he someone that might get minutes against Luton?
I'd give him minutes.
Off the bench.
I don't think he will.
Off the bench.
If we're 3 or 4 and up, why not?
I think it's more likely it's actually Iago Santiago who's a proper out-and-out winger. Because Jamie Donnelly, he's a natural number 10. So I don't feel like he's going to get the minutes.
Santiago, didn't he score against Chelsea, the first goal?
Yeah, he's been scoring all season. He's also having a brilliant time of it for the under-21s. And I think like he's actually more likely to get minutes on the left-hand side than maybe a Donnelly is on the left-hand side.
Is he training with the first team, though?
I'm not 100% sure with that.
I don't think Iago's training with the first team. I think Donnelly, well, I guess they're...
Either way, though, the future looks bright with both of them. Like, when you look at, in the last 20 years, the only academy players we've had really come out into the first team is Legley King, that player that went down to the road, Winks, Skip, and Kane. It seems that our under-21s are flying, and it's the first time in a long time our first 11 and our under-21s are kicking at the same time. And this is what we need. Play the same system so that when a younger player comes in, you haven't got to adjust your game plan. We're not counter-attacking Sheffield United away. It's the same footballing style throughout the club. This is what the likes of Ajax and PSV and Benfica and Sporting do. That's exactly what I want to see. And it's great that 2 young players are doing extremely well.
You can only look at Arsenal as well. Look, how young was Saka when they brought him through? He was
17.
18, wasn't he? 17. Yeah, and look, he's a special talent. He's 1 in a million, but you never know that you would never know about a player until you give him a chance, do you? And
if you're good enough, you're old enough.
And they played him everywhere. He made his debut at left back.
Yeah, and if Donnelly's really smashing it out like he is, maybe that level is a bit too easy for him. So why not get him, put him on the bench? Especially with George Abbott.
Wasn't George Abbott?
He played against Chelsea, I think,
last year. Yeah, he got minutes at the end of last season. But is he playing? Is he back in the team in the 21s now? Is he?
He scored against. I think he played against Chelsea in the under-21s.
Did he? Okay, fair enough. Because he was good. I thought he came through, and when he got minutes, I forget which game it was, tail end of last season. I thought he did well in that 20-minute spell. I thought he got forward.
Yeah.
Well, I think he had a chance, didn't he, as well? But, yeah.
Did he grab himself an assist or something, or am I completely misremembering?
He got a key pass. I think I'm not sure if he got a technical assist, but
maybe
he got a pressure or some other statistic that's been made up.
But back onto the topic, Sim. Are we finishing above Arsenal?
Yes. Of course we are. Those Gunners have 1 year finishing above us in 7 years and think they're the dog's bollocks. It's amazing how good they think they are just because they finished above us once in 7 years. So I think, look, in all seriousness,
what? So you're not serious? You didn't what?
I'm not
What are you
serious.
chatting about? What you just said was like gospel.
We're on the positive
No,
each
I am
train.
serious
You're just going
about
to derail us.
I am serious about the Gunners definitely over-egging where they are. And I think that they think they're in a stronger position than they are in. But at the end of the day, they have a stronger squad than us. That's the truth. So whether the reality is we also have less games. So it could balance itself out. When I look at the first 11 of both teams, when there are no injuries, I don't see a massive difference. Like, I think that we do have a few players that they get into their team, even if they don't think so. I think that we do. But the question is, our depth is so lacking. It's so lacking. One injury to Van de Ven or Romero, and or Udogie or Basuma or Madison, and we are screwed. We are screwed. Like, if Basuma gets injured, we're not going to be finding our way into the final third as easy as we have been. If Basuma gets injured, he's like
basically anybody outside of the wings, anywhere else on the team, we are screwed, and we've now run out of options.
Gets injured, I think Emerson can come in and do a job, but I think
Bentancur can do a job in the number 6.
And I think if Sarr gets injured, we can maybe deal with that. But I think Basuma, he just makes this team function because he literally gets the team from the defensive third into attacking third, like with such ease and regularity. It's a joke, and he's like a cheat code in that.
Hopefully, he'll be back in the next month or so.
Someone said on Twitter earlier he's back for our. He will be featured in our November game, the second game of November, which is about 4 weeks.
I actually think if Lo Celso's fit, I think we would miss Madison, but not as much as people think. I think we could still score goals without Madison if Lo Celso's fit. I do think that. But I don't think if Basuma's fit, Højbjerg could do the job Basuma does. I really don't. If Romero or Van de Ven get injured, we're screwed. If Ben Davies has to come in for Udogie, I cannot see Ben Davies doing anywhere near the job Udogie is currently doing. So we're screwed in that fact as well. Whereas Arsenal were currently got injuries. You know, Timber got injured and Trossard and Martinelli got injured, but they got players who can fill in. They got Jesus filling in. They got Nketiah. They had Vieira. Like, I'm not
they have got some similar problems.
They're not great players, but they're much better than the depth we have in these kind of positions right now.
But you do feel like if Martinelli and Saka are out, which is a real possibility,
or Odegaard.
Ghostegaard, you mean? I mean, I haven't seen him play for a while.
Odegaard, I'm going to need a sat nav to find.
I hear you. But if one of our centre backs gets injured, we are so screwed. Like Dyer comes in, we are screwed. Yeah. Like, we're not winning a game. like that kind of. Maybe if we look, okay, maybe I'm over egging a bit. If we're playing,
we'll come in and boss it.
If we're playing a team like, for example, Luton, and maybe we're dominating the game and we're having a lot of possession, maybe we could get away with having a Dyer. But if we're playing like a Brighton or we're playing a Villa or we're playing any of these teams, that's just, Davis and Dyer just something that they will exploit, especially with the way we play the high line, very very aggressive. Like, that is just ripe for exploiting. Right now, with Van de Ven and Udogie, then Romero, it's really, as much as we're playing with high risk, it's still very hard to get any joy out of them. They're so quick, they're so aggressive, they're so strong, they're so physical, that even when we lose the ball and teams have, like, for example, that moment where Liverpool had a counter, Gakpo is through on goal, yet Van de Ven has that recovery pace to get back and actually outpace Gakpo, and any other defender in our squad apart from Van de Ven, that's probably a goal, and that's the difference. That's the fine line. You can be from a team, going 1-0 down and it functioning and it not. So if we get lucky with injuries and we have our first 11 fit and available for most of the season, I think we do have a decent chance of finishing above them. But that's just, I don't know. It's just you've got to go, because
a lot of ifs and buts, isn't it?
Exactly. I hate talking about the narrative. But
yeah,
we do have a weaker squad. I think our first 11, if it stays fit, we can finish above Arsenal, and I genuinely believe that.
That was what I was saying, by the way, to everyone in the chat. If we can get to January and add a couple of players,
get to January above them, and we can maybe sign a couple of signings. There's no I think Arsenal I think we're already starting to see it, but once we even get into it in December, the Champions League games are coming thick and fast, and they're really, you having to use their squad a bit more with midweek, and then the Premier League, and they're having to use their first team every week. Like, you're already seeing they're starting to struggle a bit. Rice is pulling up, Saka's pulling up, they're starting to struggle. So I think once that in a few weeks' time, we might even see a worse situation for them. But I don't know.
Yeah, good luck had to come to an end at some point. It had to. And now I think
Mate,
you're
you know
finally
what? That's
starting
what
to see
drives me up the wall about Arsenal fans who think that last season was their new normal.
No,
I think you have to. I think you have to do 2-3 seasons at a certain level for it to become your new normal. Otherwise, it's just overperformance, smashing through ceilings. And then usually 7-8 times out of 10, teams that outperform once, gravity brings them back down to earth with a bump the second season. You know, we're seeing it a little bit with Newcastle right now. And I think we might be seeing it with Arsenal as well. I think it's too early to tell either way, but Arsenal fans think that their team is better than it is. And you know, I think maybe you know, a lot of other rival fans might say the same thing about Tottenham fans, thinking that our team's better than it is. But for me, whether or not we finish above or below Arsenal will be entirely dependent on luck in terms of injuries.
Can I say something very quickly?
We're good. If not, if we get injured, then we won't be. We'll be 5th or 6th, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I spot on, mate. If we beat Luton and Arsenal and City draw, after 8 games, we sit top of the league.
Having a laugh.
So winning it all.
Just no, like all jokes aside, we're only 8 games
Henry,
in,
we were top of the league after more games played under.
I know. This is what I'm saying. All jokes aside, but if I said to you back in August when we didn't sign a centre back for 7-8 weeks, and we're all shamelessly doing videos about a player that no one's ever heard of, right? If I said to you then, 8 games in, we're going to be top of the league, beating Liverpool, beating United, going to the Emirates and getting a point, you'd bite my hand off.
Oh,
You'd be like, you're absolutely smoking.
Speak for yourself when you say shamelessly doing videos that we've never heard of.
I've at least
Googled them before I've done the video. You know,
I've Googled them as well. Everyone's got the same information.
Let's rephrase it for sure. Never heard of it 10 minutes before doing the video.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, big up to all of you. One more members chat here from Azad Hamid saying, with Porro being the best right back in the league, should we now be looking to sell Emerson and get a better right back backup? What do you think, Shawnee?
I think it's the position that's the least of my concern at the moment, if I'm honest. It was an area that I thought was, you know, going into the season, I think like most people, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys felt the same, but I was really concerned about Porro. I think a lot of people were sort of shoehorning him into I think everyone was sort of consensus saying he's not a right back, he can't defend. And I think a lot of people were then saying because he's not there, he must obviously be a right winger. I'll be honest, I got it completely wrong. I was saying I don't know where he fits into this system, but I'm so glad how brilliant he's been. He's proven me entirely wrong. I think he's spectacular, and I think that Emerson is an adequate, appropriate backup. In an ideal world, yeah, you'd like to be able to, you know, to get better players in all of the kind of the B team, if you like. But I think that particular area of the pitch isn't somewhere that's a focus for me, not in January, nor probably in the summer. I think we need more depth in the centre-back spot. We probably need another left-back at some point if Ben Davies isn't going to be the kind of final solution. And I think we also need to have conversations around what we're going to do in the midfield. You know, with Højbjerg wanting out, he doesn't fit the system anyway. We're going to need someone who can either play the backup to Basuma in the 6, or if Bentancur is going to do that, then another 8, whatever. And then, of course, obviously, we need a 9. So there's 4 or 5 different positions that need to be filled before we start worrying about Emerson Royale, I think.
Maybe we should revert to Brains' wet dream and get rid of Højbjerg, bring in Hatate, bring in Jota for the left wing, and bring in Kyogo for the number 9 role. What do you reckon?
Is he just letting his Scottish side of him kind of speak volumes here? He's just like a Celtic.
He's like, we got to get these 3 done. We're going to win the league if we get it done.
They're all great players. They are all great players. Like, I'm a big fan of Hatate from what I've seen of him. And Kyogo seems to just bang him in for fun, doesn't he? You know what's interesting? I don't know, like, obviously people were talking about, should we get Kyogo, should we get Gift Orban as the number 9? And that was the kind of the kind of conversation for a lot of the last part of the window. Gift Orban doesn't seem to have kept up quite to the same level.
He's
his scoring fallen
off a cliff since the end of the transfer window. He really has.
Yeah. He's not.
I don't think he's scored a league goal since the transfer window shut.
You still want him?
Bring him.
Yeah, I still really like him. For me, though, my attention's turned to Santiago Jimenez at final. I think that guy is the real deal. I really, really like him. think he's a different type of player to Gift Orban or Kyogo, but
his numbers
but
are,
also
are insane.
Kyogo's scoring goals still this season for Celtic again, isn't he? So look, there's options out there, just whether or not Daniel Levy wants to pay the going rate and what that number is.
Sean, where do you think the balance, like in this kind of situation we're talking about, bringing a striker in, when we're all waxing lyrical about like a Donnelly or, even a Scarlett or whatever in the youth team, like where is the balance between finding a pathway for them and having to sign a young striker who's going to play right now? Where do you think that balance is? Because you could argue, if we sign a striker now, is that not blocking Donnelly's pathway or something?
And Valiz, right, as well.
Valiz as well.
Yeah, it's a good argument, mate. I mean, I haven't really spoken about it in the centre forward role, but I've certainly made the point before that in terms of getting a centre back in January, I think we don't necessarily need to follow the same script of going youth centric, again in January, because you do have 3 centre backs coming through over the next 18 months to 24 months in Vescovic, Phillips, and maybe Dorrington, right? And so if you do want to have access for these players to come through when you've already got a 23-year-old in Van der Ven and a just turned 25, I think, in Romero, then to go and get another 22-year-old who's 30 million quid or whatever at the centre-back role to give backup now, to me seems like if you sign them on 3 or 4 or longer term contracts, then you're blocking off the pathway, and that bottleneck for me is a problem. What is the point of going to a youth-centric model unless you're going to offer some access? So in terms of the centre-back role, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I think that there's options to go and get someone who's a little bit more senior who knows the role he's going to play. He's going to come in and hopefully do a job when asked, but ultimately he's going to be rotation/backup. And I know people are probably going to lose their mind at me, but I was looking at people like Chris Smalling and thinking, I think his contract's coming to an end soon. And I think he could come in and just do a job mentoring some of these players at 32. I think he's 32 years old.
Or someone like De Vrij.
Someone like De Vrij, someone that's maybe 30 years old that can come in, play a little bit of a bit part, be there, but not necessarily demand or command first team minutes ahead of Romero and Van der Ven, but fill the gap in the short term whilst Dorrington and Phillips and Vescovic and that are doing and I guess you can make the same argument at the top end of the pitch as well. Just
make sure his name isn't Eric Dyer. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Harry Maguire. I mean, it kind of fits that much better than Eric Dyer.
Kind of fits your profile, surely, Eric Dyer. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, no, I'm not saying Chris Smalling specifically, but just I'm saying someone like him who's been there and done it, who could come in, who isn't, you know what I mean, who's coming to the end of the end.
Describe this player without describing Dyer, Sean. Just do it, please.
I don't want Eric Dyer.
Dyer's been to a Champions League final.
You're describing.
That was Harry Winks, but I don't want him back, mate.
Give me some characteristics that can't be attributed to Dyer.
Talented. I don't know. Talented. Someone who's calm under pressure. Someone who knows how to get himself out of a pickle.
Okay, there we go.
Eric Dyer did well getting his family out of a pickle in the stands, so fits your profile perfectly.
So you okay? Well, let me ask the counter then. If you guys think that my idea is so terrible, are you okay? So we need someone in centre back. We need someone in centre back in January. Do you go and get someone?
I get Tosin. I go get Tosin
or Lloyd Kelly. One of those types.
Yeah, that's who I go. I don't think these kind of players block off the pathway to these youth players coming through. And realistically, we don't know how long it's going to take for these players to properly come through. They're 18 years of age. One of them 16 years of age. So it's a difficult situation. You can't just wait for them, bring in a Smalling or bring in Harry Maguire or these kind of players to wait for 18 and 16-year-olds to break through. I still think we need to go for like the Tosins of this world, like maybe not top money centre backs, but players that can come in and do a job straight away.
What about Cameron Carter-Vickers?
I wouldn't be completely against that. I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
Plays well for Celtic.
Well, yeah. My point was more around. I don't necessarily think that we should be going dropping big money anymore. Like if Edmund Tapsoba links emerge again, I'd rather, like as much as when I hear myself say it out loud, I'd love to see Tapsoba, but I don't know if, like, what's the benefit of spending that money in that particular position? I feel like there is a medium term. Though, don't they?
Teams still buy quality and then slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Man City always go for like top quality players and then slowly, like when they had the likes of Kyle Walker and they were moving other players out right back while they were at the same time bringing through Rico Lewis. Like you're not, if we got by like a 30-year-old or a 32-year-old who's good, we're almost kind of putting so much pressure on this player to come in, and if he doesn't do well, we've shot ourselves in the foot. Whereas at least if we have someone who's firing on all cylinders, and that young product slowly gets nurtured in, like what we've done with Richarlison to a degree. Like he had a lot of hate on him. He took him out of the firing line and then slowly pushed him back in, and now he started to contribute. Like I'd be more leaning towards bringing someone in like Tapsoba, knowing that we've got quality and we can also add quality, rather than bring someone in who's on the decline slowly, but praying that young player comes in and does absolute wonders.
I just know that budgets are going to be tight again. When you look at those numbers that were put out in the fan forum, that Tottenham has spent circa 670 million, whatever it was, net over the last 6 years. It's 110 million a year, which if you work out that on average over those years, Tottenham's revenues were about 400 million on average. I know they're a bit higher now, but they were lower at certain points. 440 million. So that's about 25% of our revenues spent on average on transfer fees. Plus we're spending about 50% on our wage to ratio turnover. It gets you to about 75%. And in a year's time, the max you can spend on your the aggregated amounts of your wages, salaries, and the agent fees is 80%, and then a year after that is 70%. So we're not unless Tottenham find like suddenly a very much more generous owner where they're going to pump money in. Unfortunately, Tottenham are going to live by the kind of book and be sustainable, and so we're not going to be able to go and throw. We're never going to be a club, I don't think, that's going to go around throwing that sort of money at transfers. And so if that's the case, the idea now of going and spending 50 million quid on a Tapsoba, unless there's some intention to sell a Romero in 2 years' time for 80 million or something like that, move some of those players on, I think that it's better to find someone who can come in who's not going to be demanding a first-team place, who can level up on what we have at the moment, be better than Eric Dyer, be better than Ben Davies, that sort of thing, but also not necessarily be a stopgap or a bottleneck on the hopeful promotion of who we hope is going to be excellent in Ash Phillips and Dorrington within the next 18 months. That's just my logic on the argument. That money should be spent elsewhere.
With what you're saying, come January, Lloyd Kelly and both Tosin Adarabioyo both have 6 months left in their contract. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me to bring in one of them.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That makes sense.
Bringing them both and get rid of Dyer.
I don't know if there's a need for both, to be honest. I think just one of them. Get rid of Dyer.
Next season, if we're in another competition, we're going to need more players. So I guess if we're going to be, hypothetically, if we weren't in Europe, I'd agree. But going into Europe, I think you need 4 or 5 centre backs. Like Arsenal have got the likes of Gabriel, Timber, Saliba. They had Holding, Partey's playing there at times. You know, Zinchenko. They go to a back three. They change things. Man City have got like 4 or 5 centre backs that play all different positions. Like Stones goes into midfield. I think if you're competing on more than, you know, just the Premier League and the Cups, like you're in Europe, I think you need another centre back. Like Villa went out and bought the likes of Pau Torres, didn't they? When they had the likes of Konsa, Mings, etc., etc. Longley, you know, that old Rolls Royce that we had.
Don't say that name around here.
What about Harry Maguire?
Oh, don't start again.
No, absolutely not. Categorically, 1000% no.
If Sim had it his own way, he'd have Maguire in central midfield and Ndombele in the midfield. Who else?
And we'd be winning it all.
The championship, yeah.
It's a trophy's a trophy, isn't it?